We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
All right, guys, welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani.
And I'm Danielle.
And we're here for another great episode. We're talking about insecurities. We're continuing a conversation that we started a few days ago. Insecurities in relationships. Do you struggle with insecurity? Is your spouse insecure? Do neither of you feel secure in the relationship that you're in? That's what we're talking about today. So make sure you share. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you're coming from. Actually, that's what you say. Go ahead, Danielle.
It's okay. You've been saying it a while by yourself.
I'm just saying.
Like, share, subscribe, y'all. Hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss a notification of the show. That way, you will always know when we're going live and you won't miss us.
All right. So you've been busy. You've had a lot going on. Tell us about the Unearthed Retreat.
Me? I've been busy. I've had a lot going on. Moi? Listen, guys, it's been a crazy beginning of the year. It's been phenomenal. I've had a lot going on, including getting kids back to school and doing the things that mamas do best. But also, I had the amazing privilege of putting my brain and mind together with some other amazing coaches and creating the Unearthed Retreat, which we just had this past weekend. It was absolutely incredible. Partnering up. Well, there's a few shots of us partying in the hallway there. We did so many things on that weekend, but most importantly, there was major transformation, and there was a bond and a connection that took place. There were women that came from all over the country with one thing in mind, and that is to just continue this process of pulling themselves up by the bootstraps and getting themselves to a place of mental, emotional, and spiritual security, right? Because oftentimes when we've gone through something, when our world has blown up in our face, we struggle to find our footing, right? We often forget and lose who we are. And so we spent 2.5 days rediscovering who we are. And I'll tell you, I mean, there were many takeaways, and there were many workshops. I was there with Lakeisha Hines, who we all love, and Janella Bradley was there delivering a power breakfast. We had Kelly Chauncey, who was there, and y'all don't know her, but you're about to know her because she was phenomenal. We had Brenda Bobby there, who did yoga and helped us to move our bodies and to stretch. There was just so much amazing content that was delivered, but one of the most amazing things that was a transformation for me was remembering my 8-year-old self, which is one of the activities that we did. It was a powerful workshop, and I was just like, wow, my 8-year-old self was a complete and total boss. How did I forget her? I mean, I was starting businesses at 8 years old. I was running the neighborhood. I was feeding the neighborhood. And when you get buried under other people's ideas of who you should be or telling you who you're not, sometimes you forget.
When you get buried under other people's ideas.
Other people's ideas.
Of who you are.
You come here with a whole bunch of ideas. You come here with a way and a mindset of being. You come here with all the bubbles and all. It was so awesome how Kelly did it. She had her rainbow in her arm, her Bible. She had bubbles. She had a crown. She had a big tulle skirt. She had wings on. All these magical things you come to this world with. And then one by one, somebody plucks them away. And you didn't even know it. Before you know it, you're what they wanted you to be.
So you take on other people's ideas, expectations, and all of that. Other people's stories and perceptions of who you are, and you lose your sense of self, your identity.
It was amazing.
So that's a part of the unearth process?
Well, in so many ways, because we're always looking to dig under and understand who we are. We start with Enneagram, and we're digging to discover all the trauma that we experience, and then we're dealing with it and releasing it. But sometimes we don't go all the way to that 8-year-old girl who started it all. We forgot who she was. And it's almost like she's saying to us, I'm still here, and it's time time for you to step back. Now that you have healed, now that you're restored, it's time to get back to this, because God sent that little girl here with a mission and a purpose. Powerful.
Wow.
Listen, y'all, don't miss the next Unearthed Retreat. You don't want to miss it. And there's more photos and things coming. Madison did a phenomenal job filming, and she's editing up some videos for us to share, so I can't wait for that.
And till the next Unearthed Retreat, there is the 12-week Unearthed Program.
Correct.
And it is time for you to get enrolled. If you've missed a retreat, if you've come to the retreat and you're ready to dive into the 12-week program, here it is. Go to the website. You can sign up today. It's not too late. Get in.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll show you this quick video, and after this, we'll jump into today's conversation. Stay right there.
To the wives struggling to move forward, I know that you're hurt, filled with doubt, fear, anger, and resentment. I know you're trying to be your best self throughout this recovery process, all while still having to be mom, daughter, sister, friend, and so much more. I know it feels impossible to be there for everyone else when at times your journey feels so isolated and alone. I know that more than once a day, you scream on the inside, I can't take this anymore. I know there are days when you feel like you want to give up and run away. I know you spend too much time sitting in your car parked in the driveway to get your head right so that you can keep moving. I know this feels like a lot of work with no guarantees. And I know you wonder, what happened to me? Who am I? And why am I here? More than you'd like to admit. I know all of this because I once felt the way you do too. It may not be evident by looking around, because we all wear our masks, but you're not the only one who feels like you'll never get back to you. That's why I've launched Unearthed. Unearthed is a 12-week group coaching program focused on discovering the woman within. Just as the earth hides all kinds of precious stones waiting to be found, buried within every woman are the seeds of wisdom, strength, purpose, and passion waiting to be brought to the light. Unearthed will take you through a spiritual, emotional, and physical excavation process that will reveal to you who God designed you to be and guide you through a process to embrace and activate your true identity. When you complete this journey, you'll have a new focus aligned with your core values so that you can begin to feel your life again and discover that your gifts aren't buried, but planted and waiting to be unearthed. Register today.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about insecurities today, right? So insecurities oftentimes exist within a person, and then they bring those insecurities into every area of their life. One of my mentors told me that all people struggle with two things: fear and insecurity. Everybody has a fear of something. Not that you're living in fear and it's top of mind, but it may be deeply embedded in the recesses of your mind, but it shows up in different areas of life. Likewise, insecurity the same way. So it's not always insecurity you have in the relationship, but the insecurities you bring to your relationship and how it impacts the relationship. So, you know, Danielle's back. It makes sense that we take a deeper dive into the Enneagram in the context of insecurity. So let's go through each personality type, talk about the fear, talk about the insecurity, and how it may weigh in on the relational dynamic. I think that would be a great conversation for us to have today.
That was a good toss. That was a clip toss.
Well,
right?
hey.
Is that how they say clip toss?
Hey.
Okay, but I'm always ready. Okay, let me just say it like this, because you know we have to remember that there are the three triads. Okay, with Enneagram, all right? So you have the head thinkers types, and that's the 5, 6, and 7. We're always in our head, right? And then you have the 8, 9s, and 1s, and those are the gut-centered. So they're always like moving into action and have to go. And then you have the 2s, 3s, and 4s, and those are the heart-centered, okay? I'm feeling people. And so that's a great indication on where you could start as it relates to what the insecurity might be, right? Because if I'm a head type and I'm always overthinking, then I might deal with anxiety that relates to the future, the present, and the past, because I'm always thinking it in my head. Now, I could break this down a little bit further, and I will, but think about it like that, because you might find that your partner's always like, you're always projecting worries into the future that don't even exist, or golly, you can't even be satisfied in this moment, right? You're always thinking about the next moment, or you're having tremendous amount of anxiety about the present. How am I being seen? Or not even how am I being seen? How am I being affected in this moment? Seen is different. How am I being affected in this moment? Okay? And then the past, just worrying about what happened in the past. Now, since I've been betrayed, for example, that past is haunting me and existing in my present moment. That's a tremendous insecurity and anxiety. But then if you go to the 8s, the 9s, and the 1s, who are gut-centered and tend to have anger and are driven to move and take action about things, right? That means that they tend to just be in action and not be able to be satisfied in this present moment, right? Or with what's presently going on. They feel like, I got to do something about it. Or if you're a 9, it's a little bit different, because it isn't necessarily driven by action. It's more so driven by peace, but still you move to get to the peace. So you're not really ever comfortable sitting still, especially when things around you are disturbing your peace, right? So at the end of the day, you're still in action. Like the 1 is always in action to make things right. This is wrong. We need to fix it. I need to do something about it. They can't just chill in the moment of something that they feel is wrong. You know, the 9 is always trying to escape, right? So they want to escape discomforts by to keep the peace. And so they're moving to the next thing. They like to be social. They like to gather, or they like to just have moments to themselves to avoid conflict and things. And then the 8, they literally have to be in control, right? So if you have to move all the time, you're going to struggle with being settled and just being, because they have to move. And then if you move to the 2s, 3s, and the 4s, of course, they're the heart and the feeling type. And so it's always about how I'm feeling. Like all these moments affect how I feel, and they need to be understood, and the feeling needs to be processed and all of that. So if you're a 2, you are literally trying to express your life through getting the feeding your soul and your spirit by being selfless, okay? And that's an anxiety that you have, an insecurity. If I'm not useful, if people don't need me, then I feel the insecurity of not being needed. This is all playing out in your relationships. 3s is a little different. They need to be successful. If they don't feel like they're being successful, they're not sure what their worth is, okay? 4 is also a little different. They need significance, but all of it is in the heart and in the feeling realm. It's not necessarily in reality out in the real world. It's in the feeling realm. So they feel the shame or the lack of worth. They feel it, whether it's true or not. So you always have to tell the 2, you are the most loving person. Oh my God, what you do for people is so amazing, but they can never give enough, you know? 3, you are so successful. Look at your world, but they don't feel it, so they got to keep going. You know, the 4, oh my God, you're so eccentric and different. There's something about you. You're so this, you're so creative. But for them, they feel insignificant. So these are the insecurities that we're all living with and that we're battling. These are lifelong struggles that we have with ourselves. And so when we're approaching our spouse, a lot of times we're approaching our spouse and projecting onto our spouse our emotional deficits, and we're unaware of it. And this is where you get into those conflicts, because your spouse is just like, I don't even think that way. What are you saying? Like, what you're saying to them is how you think and how you feel. They're literally on another planet as it relates to how they feel, think, and see things.
So can this be solved?
Yeah, it can be solved. And I just want to bring our attention to this bracelet that we didn't mention. The bracelet from Couples Academy. I wanted to say that.
Is that a plug?
No,
is there an outlet here?
It wasn't a plug, but listen,
can I plug?
Unearthed bracelet. Okay, because they're all dangling around. But the solve is not to expect that you are going to suddenly not feel the way that you feel. This is a lifelong journey. Mm-hmm. This is a lifelong struggle that you've had. The cure, if you will, is understanding and acknowledging. It is self-awareness. It is emotional intelligence. Because if you can get to the place where you are competent and you understand who you are and how you are, it takes a lot. It takes eating the humble pie. You know, like it takes facing who you are and accepting who you are. And for some, it's hard because of ego. You know, you don't want to look at anything. You don't want to recognize that you are flawed and that there are things with you that aren't typical or that aren't necessarily well. You're not all the way healthy in certain areas. But if you can get to the point where you are willing to acknowledge those things and work on it to the best of your ability, meaning becoming self-aware, curbing it, being correctable and teachable, and then understanding your partner when you're seeing them and they're moving into their insecurities, you can have a sensitivity. And if there's mutual sensitivity, then there's grace. And that is the cure-all, grace. Because God did not say to you, well, before I accept you into my kingdom, I need you to not do this and not have that and not be like this. He didn't say none of that. He said, come as you are. But we expect our spouses to come and make complete transformations and be somebody that we're not. The key here is to work on being the best version of yourself. But you have to know the version of yourself that you are in order to be the best version of yourself.
So you know your issues, you know your fears, you know your insecurities. Fine. Some people are oblivious, they have no clue, and they live in denial. Some people are aware. So the person who's aware of him or herself, what should their posture be? Should it be, it is what it is. This is just who I am.
Okay, so
I am who I am.
Yeah.
Accept me for who I am. This is who I was before I met you. This is who I was.
Absolutely
Like,
not.
what should the posture and disposition be?
Yeah. So if you're interested in developing your personality to a more whole place, that's when you get busy working on it. When you understand that you have some vices, right? Each personality has vices. Becoming aware of them is huge, because when you become aware of them, then you can curb them and you can manage them, right? If you know that when you walk into a room, you immediately assume everybody is judging you, and you've always felt that way. Everybody judges me when I come into the room. They all look at me. Then you understand in your Enneagram personality style that all personality styles like you think that when you walk into a room, everyone's judging you. It is a farce. It is not true. It is the insecurity that you feel. Now you start to practice and work that muscle, right? Now you walk into the room with conscious awareness about something, and you make conscious decisions. Okay, I know how I'm feeling, but the more I step into this room, the more comfortable I will become. Because what you were doing before is running out of that room because you felt judged. And matter of fact, you avoid rooms at all costs, because when I go into rooms, people judge me. It's not true. You have to get to the place where you build that muscle so that you no longer feel it again. A great example of this is Toastmasters. Like, how many people do you know who had like crippling stage fright and they could not even hold a mic without shaking and rattling their voices? They're choking, their throat gets dry, they have no water, any moisture in their mouth. And then they go through a process of Toastmasters where you are put in front of an audience, terrified, over and over and over again, until you build that muscle and you're no longer terrified and you're comfortable.
Goes away, right?
Yeah, facing the fear and doing it anyway.
So putting yourself in an uncomfortable position or situation and constantly going back to it, the less uncomfortable it gets over time, then it becomes more comfortable. Then you're operating with relative ease. You're
Isn't that the
flowing
truth
in
with
it.
everything?
That's with everything.
I mean, riding a bike, learning how to cook. I need some water.
You need some water?
Yeah.
Drink it down.
Learning how to cook. Whatever it is that you want to do that feels awkward and strange and foreign and unfamiliar to you, the more you do it, the more comfortable you become, and it becomes second nature. You're not even thinking about it. You know, you see somebody in the kitchen, the way that a chef works in the kitchen, they shimmy in the pot, and they're doing this, and they're doing that, and they're over here, and they're over there. They're just working the kitchen.
I've seen that
before. And a
before.
miracle happens, right? You've seen that before?
I've seen it.
You've seen that before? You've seen that before? Right? Same thing with anything in your life. But what happens is, I can take these off now because the advertisement happened. What happens is that we become so crippled by our insecurities that we rolled up into the relationship with, to the job with, we rolled up in life with, and we avoid. And until you become aware of what you're avoiding, you can't confront it.
Gonzalez says, hey, my brother, you can season some chicken, though.
Yes, sir. You did that.
I had to bring that up since she brought up the whole cooking thing. But yeah, the insecurities are real. And, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to unpack over the next couple of days more of the reasons why people are insecure. So from an Enneagram perspective, and I wanted to bring this conversation up because many of you who are aware of your Enneagram may know it on a surface level, but really haven't done the deep dive inner core work. And as Danielle's saying, it's a lifelong journey. So you know you have issues. You know you got problems, faults, flaws, idiosyncrasies, inconsistencies. You know you got your stuff. And so the reality is, if you sit with it, if you get settled with it, if you just say, this is just who I am, then those issues that you have and your partner has are going to continue to remain, and is going to continue to add to the stress and the disconnect that you have in your relationship. And this is why we say, when you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, it impacts your relationship. So fix your life, fix your marriage. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, fix you and fix your marriage. I mean, it was literally the turnaround for us. I used to say this a lot, but since the story has gotten old, but I mean, growing up with 3 brothers, right? You know, they were the ones that I looked up to, and they were highly encouraging. Like, my brothers, like, they just built me up so big. They loved on their little sister, and I'm so grateful that they did that. But as a result, since they built me up so big, when Hasani started complaining about stuff, I was like, you must not know about me. You are good. Like, you know,
she didn't know about her.
I didn't know about me because there wasn't any balance in that space. So, and all I ever heard was, and I think maybe the overcompensating, maybe because my father wasn't there to do it, so they did it, and I just felt on top of the world about things. And so it wasn't like I was walking around conceited, but when my husband had issues, like normal issues with whatever under our roof, I was just like, are you good? Because you must not know. And so it takes awareness. Like, the Enneagram is so powerful and so amazing because it gives you the ability to be introspective so that you can know how it is that you're showing up in the world. You don't know what you don't know. And oftentimes your spouse is your reflection. And actually many other people are your reflections, but we don't put as much weight into the reflection of what other people say as we do what our spouse says. You know, people can say things to you out here in this world and you could consider it an insult, right? It's like, you know, what they say about you or what they try to take from you or whatever. But when your spouse is reflecting something to you and you're hearing the same thing over and over again, you have a choice to make, to either look at that and work on it, or you're going to have a lot of conflict in your marriage that you won't be able to get over or get past.
Yeah, it's deep because on one extreme, you could be so built up that you're not aware. But then on the other side, you could be so torn down and have low self-esteem.
There's
and
that part.
You know, that you can't see yourself for who you are. So there are the voices that heal and then the voices that haunt.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to get these voices out of your head and listen to the Holy Spirit, which is the still small voice. Listen to that voice, because that's the voice that guides and leads and directs. And that's the voice that reminds you of who you really are. And that's the thing. Like, when you really connect with God, you begin to unearth, going back to that word, all the junk, all the garbage, all the perceptions, all the expectations, all the roles, all the stuff that you've been buried under, to get back to your true self. And when you get back to your true self, then you're able to have a relationship on a level that you've never had it before. But it requires both people understanding your Enneagram and taking that journey of personal growth and development and doing it individually and doing it together only strengthens the relationship and puts the security back in it. And so some of you are saying, well, I'm interested in doing it, but my spouse is not. Well, that's okay. You do your job. You start your journey, because you never know the influence and the impact that you can have on your partner. And we also know that sometimes people operate in different seasons, at different paces, at different times. And it would be ideal if you both were eagerly gung-ho to the same capacity in the same space and time, but life doesn't always work out like that. And so as long as you're doing your part, you're contributing to the advancement and the healing of that relationship.
I love what you talked about. The healing. What was it? The healing.
The voices that heal and the voices that haunt.
Voices that haunt. I mean, that is so powerful because that's another gift. When you understand your Enneagram, you get to understand your giftings too, right? Because there are people that have throughout your life torn you down, told you what you weren't or what you couldn't be or do. I mean, I can't tell you how many people we encounter that as a child, they were told that they were stupid as a child. And here they are like 50 years old and that still breaks them down just to talk about it. They cry because when they were 7 and when they were 8, somebody who was an authority said that to them and they believed it and they have been trying to overcome that all their life. And so the powerful thing is to understand, this is who you really are. This is the false self and the lie, what people tried to put on you. And you get to choose life. And that's what I really love about it.
Listen, guys, we're going to be going deeper over the next couple of days talking about insecurities in your relationship. We want to know, where do you struggle most? What is the deficit or the Achilles heel in your relationship as relates to what's going on within you internally? The insecurities, the fears have taken over your relationship, but they don't have to. You can turn all these things around. All you need to do is take the first step. And sometimes the first step is reaching out to us, calling couplesacademy.org, setting up a discovery call to see how we can assist you. We have amazing practitioners who are trained and skilled and have the experience to guide you through what it is that you're going through. What are you waiting for? That's why I'm so excited about the couples who are flying and driving in tomorrow for our last chance weekend to get what they need to turn their situations around. We want you to pray, give good energy, do whatever you need to do to help those who are going to be coming, because it's going to be powerful and transformational. And we can't wait to have some great testimonials about the impact that was made. But until then, guys, tomorrow is Friday. It is Ask the Experts. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you have your questions so that we can dive in deep and give you what you need. But until then, see you tomorrow. Take care.